Welcome to Executive Leaders Radio, your spot in the corner office, the radio show where executives share their secrets to success. Executive Leaders Radio.
You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, with my co-hosts, Shannon Lane, Newmark Knight Frank, Drew Hanlon, Ethan Milrod, Go-To, and Ethan, would you please give us a rundown on who we have on the show today?
Sure, Herb. We have a great show ahead, including Cera, CEO of ArcWeb Technologies, Irina Rabovetsky, CEO of A-Team Home Care, Shelly Buck, President, Riddle Hospital, and Beryl Krinsky, founder and CEO, B.Komplete.
Let's get to know our first guest, Cera, CEO of ArcWeb Technologies. Chris, what is ArcWeb Technologies? What are you guys doing?
We do strategy, design, and development of enterprise software. We've been a trusted partner of over 80 high-growth companies to build a new digital product.
Wow. And how old is this business?
Almost 10 years old.
And you're 40 people and you've got 80-some clients? That's amazing. Where are you from originally?
Almost 40 people. Drexel Hill and Upper Darby.
Drexel Hill and Upper Darby. And how young were you when you started working? I think it was in your dad's shoe store when you started helping out there. How young were you?
Probably 11 or 12 when I started to work like legitimately part-time, but I've been doing things like shining shoes and display work when I was very young, like 5, 6, 7.
So you're 5, 6, 7, shining shoes and doing display work in your father's shoe store. What'd you learn shining shoes and doing display work 5, 6, 7 years old that has anything to do with building ArcWeb Technologies, which is a really well-respected technology firm in the greater Philadelphia region? What did you learn then that has anything to do with building this business today?
My father was always a top producer, worked extremely hard, and that's something that I try to bring every single day.
Okay. Ethan.
Chris, ArcWeb Technologies, is this your first gig?
No, started a few things that never made it out of the dining room, and a few others that, got somewhere. But yeah, this is probably my significant company.
Can you remember back to your younger years when this entrepreneurial spirit first started to show up for you? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, I hadn't actually noticed it. So when I worked with my father, I helped him run a direct mail portion of his business, and we were selling shoes to people that were incarcerated, and I helped him build a direct mail operation. So everything from the database, the mailing list, the marketing, and everything. So I ended up doing that soup to nuts and kind of running a whole direct mail business unit. So
you were an entrepreneur at a young age. I think you said earlier your mom had a big effect on you growing up too, didn't she?
Yeah. My mom is a wonderful person. Taught me to listen, treat people the way you want to be treated, just full of love and compassion, unconditional love. She's a wonderful person.
Were you telling us that, you're kind of changing as a company because of your mom and your focus on sustainability? And what else was that?
So we recently, happy to say, became a B Corp, a certified B Corporation, and it really is another way of looking at for-profit companies. So, we have nonprofit companies that are out there. These are for-profit companies that are trying to make a difference in the world in a variety of ways through just sustainable business practices.
Yeah. So how did your experiences with your mom have that effect on you?
My mom is a, like I said, unconditional love. And, I think I've been trying to build a business that, keeps people employed and whatnot. And as I've realized now, like we can continue to pivot the business to do things that are going to be more conscientious and more beneficial. And you spend a lot of money as a CEO. So there's a lot of ways that you can direct that spend in a way that's going to have much more of a positive impact on your community. And while we're redesigning everything right now because of COVID, it's a great time to really rethink your business and think about how you can have a bigger impact in your community, even as a for-profit business.
Drew?
Yeah, Chris, you mentioned that your mom was a good listener. I was just curious, has that impacted what you do every day in any way?
I don't know if all my team members would say that, but I definitely try to listen first before I speak.
What is the benefit to your clients of listening?
A lot of times I feel like my brain has already set up the plan before I walk in the door and before I say anything or listen to what others are going to say. And a lot of times if you just say, how are you doing? Or what would you like to do? You get a completely different outcome and answer. And when you're doing client services, you really want to do what the client wants to do. It doesn't really matter what you want to do necessarily.
And you mentioned that you had a love for basketball. What did you love about basketball?
It's the only real organized sport that I enjoyed doing. And I just love the sport overall, shooting, running around, trying to steal balls, trying to not get the ball stolen. And it's a great team sport.
And what was your role on the team?
More of a forward, although I was very short when I was younger. I'm still about almost 6 foot, but more of a forward generally.
What would your teammates tell us about you?
A lot of heart. I wouldn't say that I'm very good. I'm good at organizing.
And how has it, having a lot of heart, is that important as a business leader?
Yeah, you got to show up every day, especially right now when things are really tough. People are looking for someone that's going to stand up, be present, be a leader in times like right now.
Shannon?
Chris, who did you look up to as a kid?
My father, first and foremost, was definitely the shining light when I was growing up.
And then in the green room, you also mentioned that later on in life, you realized the role your mother played and how you look up to her now. Tell us more about that.
Sure. My mom is an extremely thoughtful, generous person. And so I've just tried to emulate that as much as I can. And I have a much larger appreciation. I'm 2 children now for parents and whatnot. And, underestimated or really undervalued what she and both my parents brought to the table. So I'm very grateful, very lucky.
And what did your mom teach you that you carry with you into work every day nowadays?
Being generous, being present, and listening.
Mm-hmm. Ethan, what else are you thinking?
I'm just wondering, Chris, do you have an opportunity to interact with your team on a daily basis? What does team mean to you?
Team, I love my team. I have a great team, and they're the reason why we've been successful at this point. So I'm pump them up every way I can.
Yeah, do you interact with them? And if we talk to them, what do you think they would say about you as a leader?
I think they'd say I'm a slow thinker, collaborative. I think they would say generous. And I think they'd say I'm a risk taker.
Why is this B Corp thing so important to you?
It's interesting. If you think about the world of social services of various kinds, they tend to be nonprofit corporations, and there's a lot of historical reasons for that. But a lot of the economy is built around for-profit corporations that have shareholders. And so B corporations, it's not necessarily a focus that you're going to do profit at all costs for your shareholders. You're really meant to look more holistically at your business, your clients, your employees, every aspect of what you do as part of your business. And those are your stakeholders, not just your shareholders. So it's another way of thinking.
But in return for the risks you're taking and the capital you had to put up and the extended hours you put in, don't you want to extract the most money that you can?
Definitely not about the money, at least not for me and not for our company. We're trying to help society move forward in a better way. And that's also why we pivoted into healthcare so strongly, so intensely, was to get more involved in social services and to be able to move the needle for the community.
Didn't you mention earlier that there's a lot of spend that you control as a CEO and you can direct that spend? That's what the B Corp's about to you or something like that?
Yeah. So looking at your procurement, looking at all of the expenses, all of your vendors, where are they located? Are they also B corporations? Do they have a sustainability mission? There's a lot of things to it.
So you're really all about the community, aren't you? You were actually one of the founders in the greater Philadelphia area of the largest entrepreneurial organization in the region. You were the founder of that or one of the co-founders?
Co-founder of Philly Startup Leaders. Blake Janelle was the original founder.
Mm-hmm. That's thousands of people, young people today. What's the website address of your organization known as ArcWeb Technologies?
It is arcweb.co.
Let me have that one more time.
arcweb.co.
We've been speaking with Cera, CEO of ArcWeb Technologies here on Executive Leaders Radio. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. That's executiveleadersradio.com. We'll be back in a moment. Don't go away right after this break.
You now can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Simply visit executiveleadersradio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, executiveleadersradio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your advisors. Yes, this radio and online social media exposure is free and quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit executiveleadersradio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, and we'd like to introduce Irina Rabovetsky, who's CEO of an organization known as A-Team Home Care. Irina, what is A-Team Home Care? What do you folks do?
So we provide skilled nursing and therapy services as well as personal care assistance to seniors in their homes.
And how large or how small is this organization, and how old is the organization?
We're about 200 employees, and we're just over 3 years old.
Wow. Well, you guys are really growing. Where are you from originally?
Born in the Soviet Union, grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, and now I'm in Bucks County.
So you grew up in the Soviet Union. How young were you when you came to the United States, and why did you come to the United States?
6. There was a lot of religious persecution going on in the country at the time, and I think my parents realized that for the future of their children, America would be a much better alternative than what they were living through.
What did your parents do for a living in the Soviet Union? What did your parents do for a living when they came to the United States?
My dad was a mechanical engineer, and so was my mom. And when we came to the United States, my dad went to wash cars, and my mom worked at a nail salon.
What?
That's the root of many immigrants.
Well, because they had to do that?
Absolutely. They didn't know the language. They needed a job. They needed to put food on the table, and they took what was available.
How'd they feel about that?
I felt proud of them. I think it's very hard to give up an established life, an established career. I think it's very telling of the kind of person you are, that you're going to give up your own ego to just provide for your family and, look at your kids' future. And that's it.
Ethan?
Irina, at the age of 6, with everything going on in the Soviet Union, were you aware of what was happening?
I don't think I was too aware of the politics of what was happening, but I was most certainly aware of the stresses that my parents were facing and the huge responsibility that they were taking in bringing our family to a brand new country.
Tell us more about that. What effect did that have on you, getting up and leaving as a young girl from your country and coming to a brand new country?
Well, I think it taught me that material things are not that important. Looking forward for a better life and to be able to create opportunities is much more important and valuable. And, the American dream is possible, and you need to do everything you can to make sure you follow your dreams.
How did living through that experience and following your dreams prepare you for what you're doing today?
Well, I think it made me a little bit independent, even as a young child, because I knew that, my schooling and all that was largely my responsibility because my parents were so preoccupied with survival. And so that taught me that if I'm going to get things done, I'm going to count on myself and make no excuses.
Count on yourself today, Irina?
Absolutely. Myself and my amazing team. There's nothing that could be done without the team.
Mm-hmm. Shannon.
Irina, in the green room, you mentioned your grandmom played a pretty important role in you starting A-Team. Tell us more about that.
Well, unfortunately, she had a little bit of a health setback, and my grandmother is the matriarch of our family. We've always relied on her as, being strong and being the one to support us. And all of a sudden, things were flipped, and, she was in pretty critical care, and we needed to fairly quickly organize her medical care and post, hospital care. And I noticed a lot of flaws in the system, a lot of frustrations, a lot of inability to reach management, in the place that she was at the time, a lot of disconnect, just in what we were being told and what the information we needed. And I felt like it wasn't fair for her or, for us.
So what are you guys doing differently at A-Team?
Well, I feel that we really become part of our clients' extended family. I know that it's very frustrating for people to undertake these changes as an adult gets older. They're frustrated because they can't do a lot of the things they were used to, and they just need somebody to walk them through the process, let them know that they're not alone, let them know that they're supported, that our company is available to answer all their questions, and really make sure that the people we send into their homes are caring, are loving, are, skilled. And quite frankly, when I send somebody to my client's home, I wouldn't send somebody that I don't feel comfortable sending to my own grandmother.
Irina, how young were you when you started walking people through a process?
Probably in second grade. I know when I came to America in first grade, I didn't speak any English, and I was very frustrated with that. So I learned English real quick over the summer. And in second grade, if there was a new family, in the school, I would be the one called on to really translate for that child, get them to their classes, explain what's going on, because it's a scary change for kids as well.
Why'd you do that?
Because I wish it was done for me.
Mm-hmm. What's that have to do with your business?
Well, like I said, I do think it's a scary time when someone gets older, and I think it's important for them to know that they don't have to be alone. There's a lot of great resources, and there's a lot of really great caring people that really thrive on helping seniors.
Just wanted to make sure I understood. Drew?
Yeah, Irina, I'm just curious. Your parents took a big risk, really ultimately for you. And then you stepped up, and it looks like you've really put an amazing future together. What does that mean, do you think, to your parents?
My parents are so proud, and they tell me all the time, usually with tears in their eyes, every birthday, it's the same wish, we wish your kids to treat you the way that you treat us, because I do make it a point to have them understand that they are appreciated, their efforts are appreciated, their love, their support. And, at this point, the roles are reversed, and I feel like I have to take care of them.
And how does that relate over to what you do? Because it seems like it's almost the exact same thing you're providing, for your customers, really. It
is, absolutely. And my grandmother is one of my first clients. But absolutely, I love helping people. I think that everyone in our office is very compassionate, open, approachable, and really receives joy from knowing that families feel comfortable, leaving their elderly mother at home, knowing that she's not alone, knowing that someone is there to care for her, love her, and really be a friend.
When you're faced with a tough decision at the office, what do you hear your dad telling you?
Well, what I would think they would say is that, you need to do what you need to do. You need to make the tough decisions. But at the end of the day, you can't forget that we are dealing with people, and feelings are very important, and making people feel heard is very important.
How young were you when you met your husband?
I was 15 years old.
You were 15 years old. And how did you meet your husband?
We were in school together, and then we started working as telemarketers together as well.
Mm-hmm. And so you have long-term relationships, don't you?
Yes, I am a long-term relationship kind of gal.
Uh-huh. But what's that have to do with business?
Loyalty. I think, money comes and goes, but you have a reputation to uphold, and people need to know that you are trustworthy, that you are loyal, that you have their best interests in mind. And all of that goes hand in hand with having long-term relationships.
So the relationship, and you were practicing law prior to starting this business.
Yes, I'm still licensed as an attorney.
What kind of law were you practicing?
I was doing litigation, employer defense.
What's that have to do with what you're doing nowadays?
Well, a lot of it was counseling employers in their business practices. And so I got to see what good employers and what bad employers do and learn a lot from those mistakes. And a lot of times I saw what the caregiver or the employees of those businesses were dealing with as well. And so I learned to see it from both ends and really appreciate kind of the plight of the employer as well as the employee.
Irina, where did this importance of fairness come from?
It came from the fact that my parents have instilled it in me since, a young age. Everything had to be fair. There was no time for drama. There was no time for, back and forth. You have to say what you want. You have to be direct, but you have to be fair.
Wow. Boy, Ethan, you really put your finger on the key attribute of Irina. That fairness is really important to you, isn't it, Irina?
Fairness and just being a good person, having compassion for what families are going through and for the seniors themselves, because the biggest change is happening to them.
What's the website address of this organization known as A-Team Home Care?
ateampa.com.
Let me have that one more time.
ateampa.com.
We've been speaking with Irina Rabovetsky, CEO of A-Team Home Care here on Executive Leaders Radio. We'll be back a moment right after this break. Don't go away. We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen, and we'd like to introduce Shelly Buck, who's the president of Riddle Hospital. Shelly, what is Riddle Hospital? What are you folks up to?
Well, Riddle Hospital is a 224-bed community hospital. It's a part of the mainline health system. We service about 34,000 emergency department visits, so people coming into our ED needing help. We deliver a little less than 1,000 babies, per year, and have about 1,400 surgeries conducted at our hospital each year.
Wow. And you're the president of this hospital. And where were you from originally?
Morristown, New Jersey.
And how many brothers and sisters, and where are you in the pecking order?
I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters, and I'm in the middle.
What did growing up in the middle of 5, what did that do to you?
Well, it prepared me for being in the middle of so much that's going on in healthcare right now. Everything from, being surrounded by physicians, nurses, different payers, policy, pharmacy groups, and so on.
All right. Drew.
Shelly, what was it like growing up for you in a rather large family?
Well, it was very interesting and lots of fun. There's lots of love in the household. And being, of course, the middle child, I found myself oftentimes advocating for my siblings to get what we wanted or needed that my parents didn't necessarily want to agree to giving us.
And didn't you say it was a little bit of a competitive situation as well?
Yes, it was quite competitive.
And what do you mean by that? Was your mom and dad setting the bar high, or?
Yes, they did. They set the bar very high. They taught us to, strive for the best. Not to settle for anything less than that, to get good grades in school, and then to expect, better or the best for each other.
And when you look back on that today, what do you think of them doing that for you?
I think it's wonderful because it really helped me, set the bar, for myself and strive for doing better. And it helps me, day to day, whether it's, through the work environment or just interacting with people, showing them that they can achieve better, they can earn better, they can do better. And it's okay to want that for yourselves.
Ethan.
Shelly, what were some of your outlets as a young middle child?
Well, I loved, play sports. I loved the arts. I loved cooking. And then just spending a lot of time with the family.
What kind of sports were you into?
Well, drill squad was one, track and field, mostly the field events, and then also bowling.
So what was your position or what was your role on these teams and these sports teams or drill squad?
Well, sure. Well, drill squad, I was a member of drill squad until my second year, in which case I then became the captain of the drill squad. So in bowling, I was just a bowling team member, and then track and field, I played, I was a shot putter.
You were, what was it? You were on the drill squad. What was that about?
Yeah, well, we, on the drill squad, our job was to, put on a show on the field along with the band, at halftime. And that, required that we create different routines and, just a show, if you will, at the football games.
Who created the routines?
Well, it was usually the captain's responsibility to do that. But I found that, her routines were, I'd say, a little stale. And so I took it upon myself to start creating routines and working with her to, make them a little more lively. I found different music and, things like that just to jazz up what we were doing a bit.
So you have a creative streak, coming up with new innovative routines, figuring out how to choreograph differently, new music. You have this artistic side to you as well. Well, what's that have to do with being the president of a hospital?
I think it ties into the need to be innovative and creative in the way that, you deliver services and care and think about how to best support the community's needs around health and wellness. And also, allows you to support others that are on the team and actually, help guide them in doing the same. We know that healthcare is changing, every day. And this pandemic is an example, of that, being able to, meet the needs of the community and figure that out creatively when we didn't necessarily know what to do because we had never been in this situation before.
So this drill squad, didn't you tell us at one point the leadership got dumped on you?
Yes, it did. Surprisingly, it did. The captain at the time, she decided to step down as she was, going into her senior year, and she handed it over to me. Mm-hmm.
Why'd she hand it over to you?
Even though I wasn't the most senior person on the team, she saw that I took the initiative, to not only help create the routines and find the music, but also to advocate for additional resources. I mean, we needed new uniforms, we needed new boots, we needed new pom-poms. And, I went right to the principal and to our coach and asked for these things. I thought if other teams could get it, we should too.
So this is pretty core to you, this taking the initiative and advocating. It's pretty much who you are, isn't it?
Yes, definitely.
What's that have to do with building a hospital?
Oh, a lot. Certainly a lot. You have to, be able to identify, what people need, what they want, and be willing to go for it. You have to speak up for those that can't speak for themselves, support teams that are trying to, drive to better outcomes and quality, compassion, and care. I mean, and the list could go on and on and on. Mm-hmm. And you just have to be that person to support them and to, advocate for them and push them in the right directions to get what we need.
Shannon Lane?
Shelly, advocating for yourself and others has come up a few times during this interview so far. And in the green room, you mentioned your grandmother played a role in that. Tell us more about that.
Yes, she did. My grandmother would have me and my brothers and sisters come over every summer to help her with her Avon business. And, we would bag the Avon, we would distribute the magazines, we would help her take orders and then deliver the Avon products. And, she would pay us a quarter for all of that hard work that we would do. And, it got to the point where I thought, a quarter isn't enough. We really want $1. So I had asked her, to give us more money, in which case she refused. And, she thought we should have probably received a dime, and that was all it was worth. So I went to my grandfather and to my mother and asked them, like, hey, help us out here. We need more money than this. This is tough work. And of course we didn't, get what we asked for, but it surely taught me that, the work isn't always about the financial reward. It's about so much more, than that. It's about, having relationships and understanding your business and being organized, and being patient, and you'll eventually get the payout. if you just stay fast to that.
Tell us more about that, the relationship aspect. Why is that important in business?
Oh, it's so critically important. People, don't want to receive services or buy your products, or they won't have trust in you if you don't develop that relationship. And in healthcare, that's critically important that people trust the system, they trust the physicians, they trust the organizations that, they're receiving their care in, because, for many people, it's a matter of life and death. And so we want them to feel comfortable, coming into, healthcare settings to receive that care. So it's about, building that relationship and letting them know that, they can come in and feel good about what we're doing, for them, with them, and to them.
You mentioned that you worked with your grandmother with Avon, and there were some business things you learned, but you didn't necessarily realize they were business things. What was that all about?
Well, that was about learning how to, sell your product, take orders, keep a budget. She kept a P&L sheet. Not that I knew what that was back then. I thought it was just a piece of paper. She was, tracking how much money she was going to give us or not give us, but doing those things. And then, of course, just being organized. It was a well-oiled machine, and her dining room was her factory. What's that have to do with being the president of a hospital? You have to do the exact same thing. We say here in the healthcare system, no margin, no mission. And so, of course, you have to manage your budget. You have to make sure, that the revenue is coming in through various payer sources. But at the same time, you have to, make sure that you are providing the services that the community needs. And you have to be organized, and you have to organize your team. You have to grow your team and the people that are, carrying your vision and the mission forward, and then take care of them.
Website address for Riddle Hospital?
It's mainlinehealth.org. And in that address is the Riddle Hospital link.
Thank you. We've been speaking with Shelly Buck, president of Riddle Hospital, here on Executive Leaders Radio. We'll be back in a moment right after this break. Don't go away.
Recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, Executive Leaders Radio. Yes, you can recognize your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, ExecutiveLeadersRadio.com. Simply visit ExecutiveLeadersRadio.com, securely enter their info, and we'll reach out to spotlight your deserving business advisors on our nation's leading Business with Heart radio show, ExecutiveLeadersRadio.com. Don't wait. This radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable. Yes, this radio and online social media and search engine exposure is quite valuable to your business advisors who deserve to be recognized. Visit ExecutiveLeadersRadio.com now to nominate your deserving business advisors for free exposure.
We're back. You're listening to Executive Leaders Radio. This is your host, Herb Cohen. We'd like to introduce Beryl Krinsky, founder and CEO of B.Komplete. Beryl, what is B.Komplete? What are you guys doing?
Good morning. We're a corporate wellness firm, and we work with employers, and we help employees gain health and happiness.
And where are you from originally?
Center City, Philadelphia.
All righty. How many brothers and sisters? Where are you in the pecking order?
I have one younger brother.
And Drew, where would you like to go in the interview?
What were you into growing up? I think you told us you enjoyed theater. Is that right?
Yes, I always loved performing. So I was Juliet when I was 14 years old.
And what do you remember about that experience?
I remember having to memorize a ton of Shakespeare lines.
That's not easy.
And I also loved whenever we would do the shows and the audience would really respond to what we were saying and doing.
And how about mom and dad? Did they show up at these big events?
Absolutely. My grandparents and my parents and my younger brother.
And what did that mean to you to be, up on stage and see your family there?
I always feel that I have my family's support, and that's really carried with me throughout my professional career.
What do you mean?
I always know that no matter what, they're always there for me. And when my grandparents were here, I always felt their tremendous love and support. My grandfather was an entrepreneur as well. And now I just know that family is so important. Family's everything. And that's also what we help to inspire with the populations that we serve.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, like how that culture and those core values kind of guide your leadership.
Absolutely. It's all about the team. And whenever you can work with other people and learn from them and have that rich relationship, it really helps to improve your health. And that's so well proven too. So that's something that, whether it's myself or my team, when we're working with groups, we always talk about the importance of mindfulness and family time and using food, not just for taste, but also for substance and nutrition.
And did you sit down for dinners as a family, or?
Every single night. We always had family dinner.
And was that important to you?
When I was little, it wasn't that important, but now as an adult, I look back and I tremendously appreciate, I'm so grateful that we had that as a family.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Beryl, how young were you when food started to play an important role in your life?
Oh, probably around 2 years old when I started grading cheesecakes.
Tell us more about that.
When I was really little, I focused on how food tasted. And then as I got to be around 13 or so, with my mom's help, we did a science experiment and we took our favorite foods and my fellow classmates' favorite foods, and we did makeovers. And so we made healthy versions of the favorite food, and all my fellow classmates loved it. And so then the rest is kind of history.
Why was it important to you to make healthy food?
Well, I started to learn that my parents taught me, and then I studied in school, how what we eat and what we think and what we do, it's everything.
Nowadays, obviously, you're in the business of food and dietary focus. This has really been a lifelong work for you, hasn't it?
Absolutely. And it's so rewarding when myself and my team, we work with populations and they tell us that you didn't just, quote, help us lose weight, you helped improve our life.
Yeah, how does that make you feel when you hear that feedback?
It is our reason. It's our why. It's what we do.
That's your mission, huh?
Shannon?
Beryl, going back to what Drew was talking about how you sat down as a family for dinner every night, why is it important to come together like that?
Having that special time where you're off your cell phone and you're not thinking about work, but you're connecting with other people, it's incredibly important. And that's also what we talk to people about, for example, mindful eating. It's so important to focus on what's happening right now, even if it's just for 30 minutes, and that's something that my company does with everyone that we work with.
This, the fact that when you were a kid and you were Romeo and Juliet and you were on stage, it sounds like you really enjoyed having the audience respond to you. Am I correct about that?
I've always loved public speaking, and we're recently starting a dietetic internship, and I'm so excited to teach our interns about the business of nutrition and wellness, and then ultimately they will be able to serve even more populations.
So it sounds like your interns are your audience. It's like you really want to turn them on. You really want to influence them.
Well, I would love to share what I know, because my background, of course, is nutrition and food, and it's business. And I'd love to share that with other people.
Mm-hmm. You'd love to share what with other people?
How to take our passion with nutrition, our passion with food and wellness, and then best communicate that to the public.
And inspire them. So what's the purpose? What's the benefit? Who benefits from all this stuff?
The world benefits, because when we all gain health in the way that works for us, we all are happier and we're more successful.
So you think that there's a way we're not optimizing our health, and your sense is that by doing certain things, we'll all be better off, and you're trying to influence the generation that can help us do that? Yes,
absolutely. Through the work that B.Komplete does and through our future interns, we're going to be able to teach people things that they might not be aware of, these small shifts can make such a huge, huge difference. And then ultimately, it will make so many people happier.
Beryl, is that what you mean by saying mindfulness? You keep on using this term mindfulness. What does that mean? Where did that come from?
Mindfulness is an ancient philosophy that has tremendous relevance in today's society. And we're so busy, right? We're always on our phones and we're always worrying about a million things we have to do. And with mindfulness, you stop and you focus on what's happening right now. And that helps to reduce your stress. And it also can improve health outcomes.
Where'd you learn that from?
Studying, through yoga, and then studying, because with B.Komplete, we teach about mindful eating. We teach about ways to manage stress. So that's part of it.
I have a feeling that started a lot younger for you, this awareness of being mindful. That start with, cooking with your family and the healthiness of your food, things like that.
Honestly, when you have me think about that, I think that I started being mindful when we would have our family dinners, because we were not allowed to, we had to eat, right? We had to be with our family. We couldn't watch TV and we couldn't play with toys or anything like that. So it probably started at a really young age.
So you were focusing on the moment. You weren't allowing yourself a lot of distractions at that stage, at that time.
That's right.
And what's that have to do with what you're doing nowadays?
Well, when you're mindful, you can benefit your health tremendously, and you can also be more productive. So that's something that we teach.
Mm-hmm. Was mom or dad like this?
My mom.
What do you mean?
She's very present, and she's a great listener.
Present. So you're bringing food and present to the party, it sounds like.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
How did your mom show that to you?
She was always there for my brother and I. And for example, when we got home from school, she was there. She was always there to help and support us. She's such a great listener. And just this morning, when I was driving to my office, called my parents, of course, talk to my dad, talk to my mom. And, I just always feel like that she really gets me.
And what does mom and dad think of what you're doing today?
They're so proud of me.
Beryl, do your customers tell you the impact that you're having on their lives?
When they do, it fuels me. I share it with my team. It's incredibly rewarding. It's the reason we do what we do.
The reason you do what you do is what?
When our clients tell us that we have helped make their life happier and healthier.
So you're bringing food and presence and wellness. You really want your clients to benefit from it. And you're looking to train the next generation so that they can have the same kind of influence, it sounds like.
Yes, absolutely.
What's the website address for your organization?
BKomplete.com.
Let me have that one more time.
BKomplete.com.
We've been speaking with Beryl Krinsky, founder and CEO of B.Komplete, here on Executive Leaders Radio. Ethan, can you give us a rundown on the guests we've had on the show today, please?
Great show today, Herb. We had Cera, CEO of ArcWeb Technologies. Irina Rabovetsky, CEO of A-Team Home Care. Shelly Buck, president of Riddle Hospital. And Beryl Krinsky, founder and CEO of B.Komplete.
I would like to thank my co-hosts, including Shannon Lane from Newmark Knight Frank, Drew Hanlon from Hanlon, and Ethan Milrod, go-to for giving me hand structure in the questions. Hopefully providing our listening audience an educational and entertaining show. I'd like to thank our listening audience for listening. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a radio show. Don't forget to visit our website. It's executiveleadersradio.com. That's executiveleadersradio.com. Learn more about our executive leaders. Thank you for joining us today and have a nice day. Bye-bye.